of them, and we're young, we're free. Summer's begun, so come run with me. Yeah, we're young, and we're free. It's time to lay it down and go swimming in the sea. 20-something just don't feel right. How the hell can we sleep at night? It's time to kiss our childhood goodbye. We're 20-something, so enjoy the ride.
Hi guys, my name is Robert, and this is episode 7 of season 8 of 20-somethings. And I think we have some really good topics for this upcoming show, but I think we got to do some introductions as always.
I'm also Robert.
Alyssa.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Maya.
And to start off, this episode, we're going to be talking about Alex Jones. And as you know, Alex Jones is a very popular conspiracy theorist and well-known radio host. And he has been sued for, he's been lawsuited for $1 billion over the fact that he was spilling lies about the Sandy Hook massacre and spreading a lot of hoaxes. And the money will be given to the victims of the families after he's caused so much PTSD and trauma for them. And the decision was made after 3 weeks of trial in Kent. And Jones was already sued previously back a couple years ago back in Texas, but this time has been the most mainstream and has been most talked about. So let's see what everyone else has to talk about.
I honestly am very happy that the families are continuing to get a little more justice with this whole situation. Every time I hear about Sandy Hook, no matter how long it happened ago, it was 2012, it's heart-wrenching. Like, it makes me very emotional. And especially with Alex Jones, there was one quote I thought that really stood out to me. It just irks me the wrong way. He said, "Do these people think they're actually getting any money? Literally for hundreds of thousands of dollars, I can keep them in court for years." And I honestly just wonder if he genuinely thinks that's a good idea, if he's really still sticking with his guns on this one, that it's all fake, when these families have gone through enough. They lost children, they've lost their own lives in other situations. It's such a heartbreaking situation for these families in general, and for him to continue to push his lies and his thoughts on it, and to say something like that after he's being sued and proven to have been lying about it, it just really, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, it's terrible that these families have to be going through all this for 10 years after all that they've already had to go through, all the mourning and loss. And I really hope he doesn't do that. I hope he just pays up and just can move on. The families could just be at peace. It's only happened a couple towns away from me, so it's really upsetting to me as well, and just terrible, this whole thing going on, and all these conspiracy theorists making up stuff about not just this terrible event, but even other stuff like 9/11, for instance. Like, what I don't understand why people have to keep making stuff up. It's terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy that when he was reacting to the trial and whatnot, and he found out how much money he had to pay, he was saying things like how this is a show trial and how, he said how it's a dark day for freedom of speech. Like, this isn't something that you really joke about at all. It's such a serious topic and a terrible event that happened. I feel like he has no sympathy for the families or anything. And I really don't understand why he would say it was fake in the first place. I think he definitely needs to do a lot of thinking, and he should regret what he's done, because all these families have lost children, and he has no empathy for that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's kind of it's honestly gross how now he's just accepting and saying okay, now I acknowledge it was real, after all this time. And it's awful because his words led to a lot of his followers disrespecting the graves of the children that were lost and the teachers that were lost in this incident. And, even no matter what your beliefs are, it's your words and your platform clearly is having a bad influence if your followers are going out and just taking actions to disrespect families and people that want nothing to do with it. So I think it's really just an awful situation, but I'm glad that he's finally going to pay up.
Yeah, I agree with Maya completely over the fact that it's dangerous to use this platform like this and really push on the idea that people need be questioning such tragedies like this, and also like they sent death threats and just awful messages to the families when they don't deserve that, when they've already gone through so much trauma, and losing a child is something that's like you can never experience, or it's hard to tell how that's feeling. But anyways, on to our next subject. We are talking about, Netflix has recently dropped a new plan. It's going to be their cheapest plan yet, and the plan is going to be only $6.99, but it will include ads, which is something that Netflix has always said that they would be against when the streaming service was first launched. But it brings up an interesting conversation on whether or not, do we care more about making cheaper alternatives, or do we continue with the same motto of making a streaming service that doesn't reflect TV or cable TV?
All right, yeah. So as Rob said, it's $6.99 a month. It's gonna be rolled out early November in like separate regions. It'll be in the U.S. on November 3rd. And how it's gonna work is there's gonna be 5 minutes of ads every hour before or during when you stream a series or a show. And I think it's a cheaper, more affordable thing, but you can only watch it on one screen. And I think the point of these streaming services are so we don't have to watch commercials. So I think maybe over time they'll see an increase in money, but their stock shares definitely drop because no one wants to pay for ads. I think that's pretty much the whole point, that like people are kind of against it.
I think there's definitely pros and cons with the whole situation. I think it's great for families or people that can't necessarily afford the higher prices. Yes, you watch commercials, but where they might not have had the chance to watch anything on Netflix prior to this, it's a great opportunity for them, I think. But also one thing I saw that a lot of the TV series and movies, it'll be a little more restricted due to like licensing restrictions. So some won't be available. I think they're going to work on it to get it available eventually. But that kind of sucks if there's a show you really like that you can't watch. Netflix has already had to get rid of certain stuff with everything, with all the new streaming services coming out. So there's that, as well as users won't be able to download movies or TV shows. I know that's something I would always do if I was traveling or going on a plane or anything like that, so that you don't need Wi-Fi to watch it and you can kind of just download it and watch it. You won't have that opportunity. But I think just for people that might not have even been able to afford it, again, it's a good opportunity, and they'll still have the choice whether to pay the $6.99 with commercials or just stick with the normal pricing. So I think it could end up going pretty well for them in general.
Yeah, I agree with Alyssa. I mean, I think there's definitely some positives and negatives to this. I'm glad that they're finally offering like a cheaper service for people that really can't, afford it, or, even like the way that the economy is going, like, a lot of people might tend to like favor this kind of subscription. But I'm kind of glad that they're bringing back ads. I mean, like, I know I personally don't like ads. I get like kind of irritated if like I'm watching YouTube or whatever and like ads come up. It's really annoying having to wait. But then I think about like when we were younger and like watching TV, like it was so normal ads. So I feel like that's kind of good almost in a way to like bring back. So I feel like now we're so used to like it just like demand, like kind of like society, or just like watching like, anything on like any platform. We're just so used to just like straight watching it and not having to deal with ads anymore. So it's kind of good that we have to like sit back and like just endure stuff and like wait.
Yeah, I think it's great they're coming out with a cheaper option so that more people could get a chance to watch. But I was also wondering, because Disney is also coming out with a cheaper option with ads, and I was wondering if you guys think maybe they're just doing it to compete with Disney.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the fact that it's just a trend with streaming services. Like the $6.99 price actually matches Hulu's price, original price of $6.99 with their ad plan. But I also think it's kind of weird that Netflix has literally their entire motto when they were first created was to create a ad-free streaming service, something where you can just binge and nonstop stream. But also, I do see like the the benefits of it. Helping people who just want to be able to contribute and enjoy just Netflix, but for a cheaper plan. And it's honestly, from the looks of it, it has the lowest amount of ads per hour compared to other streaming services. It's only around 4 to 5 minutes based on an hour, and it's I'm interested to see how it goes. It releases in November, and it will only be dropped into 12 countries before it's released to the rest of them. So let's see how it goes. And on to our final, topic of the night. We will be talking about the Connecticut cops. Two cops were lured out by a suspicious 911 call for a domestic abuse case, and they were shot by two brothers in Bristol, Connecticut. The two officers who were killed were Dustin DeMonte and Alex Hamzy, and another officer, Alex Dorado, was left injured after the firefight. One of the suspects was killed in the action, and the other remains in the hospital. And this is just a buildup in terms of officers getting killed in action. And for me, it's kind of terrifying to see the fact that officers were lured out and targeted for this attack, and it makes me wonder, what does this predict for the future, and how will they react to 911 calls if this becomes a trend?
Yeah, this story is really upsetting for me to read because my dad was a police officer for 25 years. So it just makes me really upset that people would lure them out when they're just trying to do their job, help people. It was supposed to be a domestic violence call where, you obviously want to get in the middle, make sure no one gets hurt. It's awful. And I did also see the Dolphins did pay tribute to one of the officers that was unfortunately killed. He was supposed to go to the game, and they hung a jersey up with his last name and honored him at the moment of silence. That was cool. But I mean, this whole situation is just awful to hear. Hopefully it doesn't happen more in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Regardless of all the stuff in the recent years with the cops, with something like this, it's definitely different where they were lured out and essentially killed after they were lured into the situation. And I saw data from the FBI. As of about a month ago, there's been about 50 officers killed in the United States this year. It's less than last year, but it's higher than the year totals for 2020 and 2019 combined, which I think is just really scary, especially if something like this continues to happen, and especially when it's broadcast out there to the world as it has been. More people seeing this, and unfortunately people might get ideas, and I hope it's not, but it could be something we see more in the future if other people are getting similar ideas with how people have felt about the cops in recent years. But again, like Rob was saying, I genuinely hope that it's not a bad situation and that it doesn't continue to happen, and that it can hopefully kind of end and not continue as like a pattern, and that the years in the future, the amount of cops killed in the United States will go down from what it has been.
Yeah, I'm just so confused. I can't fathom why anyone would do this. Like, they had 14 guns seized from their house, and then they fake a 911 call to shoot at people who work to defend the community. And there has to be something wrong because, like, as far as the investigation goes, they couldn't find any reason so far, saying it's a complex investigation. But yeah, there definitely are more cops getting shot over time, which is terrible. And this, like, to people who in their head think, like, there are crazy people who think this is okay, this is showing them a way they can do it. And that's like how you all were saying, very scary. And I'm very curious to see what the reason was for why this occurred.
Yeah, no, I'm also totally on board for cop reforming, but also we can't, like, it's kind of still alarming to me that the fact that these cops were targeted and these they're going after cops even though their entire duty is just to protect the community, and also they have families, and this is just them trying to serve their job, and it's honestly traumatic. But there's other ways to do it than trying to just seek revenge or try to kill someone. And we don't know the motives yet because it hasn't been released yet. I mean, there's still the person who one of the suspects who was shot was still in hospital, so they're still trying to find out the rest of the data. But hopefully it can get better. Like hopefully that's the end of it. But those have been our 3 topics for the show, and I thank you all for watching. And this is us signing off. And my name is Robert.
Also, Robert.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Maddie.
Maya.
Have a good rest of your day.